Hey y'all, today we are talking about Woman King. Let's get into it. I love this movie. I love the fight choreography, the costumes, the acting, the emotion, the culture, all of it. I fell in love with this movie. I would really be surprised if somebody doesn't win an Oscar because that was Oscar material. It starts off with major violence. People are camping around. They look back. The birds are flying. They look back again. It's the Agoji Warriors. They're coming out. They are slicing and dicing. And just quick note, this movie is rated PG-13. I have no idea how this movie got past the PG-13 rating. Nawi is this young 19-year-old girl, and she's like our way in. The men in the village abuse her and she doesn't want to get married. So the father takes her, throws her, says, "Here, she's for the king. Take her, I don't want her." She goes in the palace and we see just how fascinating, and there's probably all these rumors about the Agoji and how they live like monsters, but they're having fun and dancing. But of course they're training. It's not like a party, but it's just you can see the regality and the love that is there, the love for the art of war. Really appreciated is that about the Agoji is that they gave the women a choice, and it was like, if you want to leave, you can leave. And you see a little, some people scramble out, but for the most part, the women stayed because they knew they would be respected. Izogi, I hope I'm saying her name right. Izogi. She is the veteran. She is the big sister of the group. And I want to say she was like the heart. I mean, maybe a second heart to the story. But she was bringing that comedic relief. She was bringing that. There's a moment where she's battling against a male soldier. And it's like whoever, backs away from the pain first loses. And when I tell you she ate that up, she kept her face straight and she ate it up. Izogi was definitely a fan favorite. Everybody's starting to get cozy. Nawi, she has a little group that she hangs with, and everything seems to be going fine and dandy. And they're training, they're falling and getting back up. It's hard, it's tough, but they're falling in love with each other, falling in love with the team. Nawi starts to play around, and she puts some gunpowder in the training dummies, and Viola has to school her real quick because she was arrogant. But Viola had to Naniska had to pull her to the side and check her real quick because ain't no games in war. We're introduced to our villains, the Oyo, led by Oba, and they are causing problems, and they come into the castle walls, and Naniska instantly feels a visceral reaction. There is something in her past with this man, and it's causing her a bunch of anxiety. She's throwing up. We have not seen weakness from her yet, but something about this man brings her weakness. The Oyo feel disrespected, and they demand 40 Agoji warriors. And I'm not gonna lie, this scene was really tough because the implication is that, some type of assault will happen to these women. So it's really hard watching Naniska point out which women are going, and she actually chooses Nawi. Fast forward a little bit, they're supposed to meet the Oyo, and they bring the Agoji warriors, presumably to be traded. And Oba's like, "All right, do you have what we want?" When I tell you the Agoji kicked and threw a bunch of heads at them, and they said, "We don't bow down to anyone." And they started running and fighting, and it was just like, that's what I'm talking about. We don't bow down. We don't bow down. Naniska is fighting Oba, and I'm not gonna lie, y'all, it was looking like Viola Davis was gonna lose. Like, she was getting it handed to her. It just was so brutal, like the way she was getting tore up. But Nawi comes to the rescue. And so if Nawi wasn't there, Naniska would have died. And so they have to run, and they run into the water. There's this big jumping scene into the water. They're swimming and getting shot at. Nawi gets scolded again. Because ain't nobody tell her to do that. She could have died. She could have got other people killed. But Naniska didn't tell her she had actually gone against plans too. She was there to die. Slave traders arrive, and Malik, he's with his homie, and apparently he's part Dahomey. And so he wants to meet these Dahomey women. I guess he's just along for the ride. And I guess these men are supposed to be the eye candy of the movie, apparently. The tournament back at the Agoji, back with the Agoji. And they have to go through all these trials and use all their training, and they're going to see who wins. And of course, Nawi is blazing through every challenge. And let's talk about the spiky branch part. That was gruesome. Like, there was one girl, she just took one step into the bushes and just got some needles in her foot. And it just was like, I don't understand how this movie got past the PG-13 rating. Nawi is blazing through every challenge, and there's a moment where her little self takes down one of the big warriors, and she has to climb over the wall. This woman just jumps down off the wall. And of course, Nawi wins, but there was something interesting. The girl who was second place, there was a moment where she could have been jealous. But she started celebrating too. And I love to see that, because that's what it feels like sometimes when your friend is winning and you have the option to be bitter or you can choose to love. And I love that about the Agoji women. They were never taking each other down. They're all celebrating. There's a ritual that they do. And Nawi, she had flirted with Malik before, back when Malik was having a bath. Sees Malik again. And I'm like, hold up, don't nobody see them flirting or whatever? I'm like, you're doing it in the open. You're not supposed to be with men, but I see you. I don't know. I just feel like she could have been seen over there. He actually reveals to her that there's about to be an onslaught. She takes this information back to Niska, and let me just give props to the bathtub scenes, because Viola Davis looked good. I can't remember her age right now, but the hair, her looking all regal in the water. And so Nawi is trying to tell her of the impending doom, but Naniska's more concerned about what were you doing out there with that boy. The third scolding, kind of like mother and daughter. Naniska pulls her in close and is telling her what actually happened to her, and how Nawi is probably her daughter because of the scar on her arm. And Nawi's like, no, it's not me. It's not me. Naniska reveals that she was caught and hurt really bad by a bunch of men. She doesn't want the same fate for Nawi, and she doesn't want Nawi to lose her power. So she keeps scolding her to try and get it to understand that this is no joke, this is a war. She grabs Nawi by the arm, she takes a knife, and she slices open her arm to reveal that Nawi is her biological daughter. I thought that scene was so emotional, like the tears. Somebody's got to come away with an Oscar. That whole mother-daughter reveal thing, somebody got to walk away with an Oscar for that. Off to war again, and this time it's going down. This time, Naniska actually uses Nawi's gunpowder idea, and they're winning the war. They are winning the war. Some of our fan favorites die. The girl who's been with Nawi since the beginning, she got shot. There's a moment where the girl, she has the spear and she's tearing Oba up. And then Oba actually gets the lead and just slices her throat, and it's the most brutal thing. Again, I don't understand how this movie got a PG-13 rating. Nawi is actually in the fight, but she gets knocked out, and the other team takes her to be a slave. They're looking for the girls, and they're burying their dead, and it's revealed that Nawi has been captured. And so Naniska has to ask herself if she's going to go and save her or run and be a coward to the situation. Nawi was captured with Izogi. And Izogi is depressed. Nawi encourages her. And Izogi has the idea to run and escape when it's time to get sold. So her arm was broken. She's like, girl, we're gonna hide this broken arm. We're gonna play nice. When we get sold, we're gonna run away. We are going to run as fast as we can. Don't look back. Exactly what they do. They're getting sold and they're getting looked up and down, and they're about to get bought. And in that split moment, Nawi and Izogi run. Nawi's not doing such a good job running away. They're getting shot at. They're dodging bullets like superheroes. And Nawi actually gets caught. Izogi, and I thought it was so interesting because Izogi was the one who said, love makes you weak. Izogi loved Nawi, like platonically. And when she saw that Nawi was having a hard time, she ran back for her. And that's when she got shot. Nawi is crying over Izogi's dying body. And the whole time, I'm like, Nawi, get up, girl. You gotta get up. Run, run, run. But Malik comes over. And Oba... it's also implied that Oba is directly Nawi's father. But Oba says, you can have this one. She's not worth much. Malik is trying to calm Nawi down. And Nawi is livid. She's like, I'm your slave now. I'm your slave now. And I'm not going to lie. Malik did this really smooth thing where he gave her the key. And so now he was like, I got the key now? And so he's like, I'm not going to hurt you, baby. I'm not going to hurt you. And it's implied that it went down. So Naniska decides she's tired of running away. The person in her dreams that she's been running from is herself. And she needs to go save that little girl and Nawi, and metaphorically herself. So Naniska is running away and running to save the day. And she sees her entire team following behind her. And I loved how she didn't stop to like scold anybody. It just was like, this is what it is. If we going down, we going down together. So there's this awesome battle at the port station. And there's explosions and the slave traders are getting involved. Oba's team is getting involved. And when I tell you, it is just havoc everywhere. You have the slave trader. So Malik's friend is trying to take some slaves with him because I guess slaves were expensive, but trying to take some slaves with him. And so Malik lets them go and the slaves start killing and beating Santo. And when I tell you they start drowning him, and I know everybody in the movie theater was going crazy for that part. There's a moment where, I forget her name, but Naniska's second right-hand woman, she takes the chains and starts beating the slavers killing the slavers with that. I was like, oh, they brought the chains out to kill them. Now we doing her thing with the rope and the knife. We see everybody's just going crazy. And we see Naniska versus Oba. And there's a look in her eye like, oh, it's on this time. Looking like Naniska's going to lose again. She's just getting punched over and over, getting backed into a corner. And he goes to stab her. He stabs through her arm, which is like, ooh. And he's all up in her face. I forget what he says, but it looks like it's over for her. And she takes the knife, cuts through him. And that was metaphorical for her having to confront her own pain in order to defeat her worst fear. She also slit his earring off, which was like, finally, that thing looked nasty. He's dead, lying dead on the floor. Some slave trade people come, and they got the gun towards Naniska. I'm like, is this how... She survived all of that. All her life, she survived. And the slave trader's going to take her out? No. Now he comes to the day. She's got a gun. She's like, y'all want to use guns? I know how to use guns too. Bop, 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 bop. I mean, it wasn't that dramatic, but she killed the slave traders. There is this memorial scene where they are acknowledging the Agoji, and they're coming back like licking their wound, not licking their wounds, but just wounded up but victorious. And they are celebrating the women who died. And there's a moment where it's Nanisca and Nawi. And she's talking about, I'm the child of someone who hurt you. And Nanisca's telling her, you are my daughter. You are Ogochi. That's something I was trying to hide from. But you are my daughter. It doesn't matter who your father is. That's what I was scared of. I was scared of not being accepted after what happened to me. But what I should have known was that this was my family. I love you despite who your father is. It doesn't matter. Now he's like, I need to go. And when I tell y'all, Viola Davis did this cry where she went, and she looked up at the sun. I was like, that's the Oscar moment right there. Oscar moment right there. She put her heart and soul into that look. The tense moment where we don't know what the king is going to say. After this long battle, and Nanisca is crowned the woman king. Everybody's celebrating, and except the little princess woman. Nawi comes over and is like, mother, dance with me. And when I tell y'all Viola Davis pulled out this beautiful dance, like I know that Nanisca needed that dance, because out of all the people I thought would have been dancing in the movie, wouldn't have thought it would have been Nanisca. Y'all, this movie was so inspiring. It made me just want to get up and do something. The movie was so beautiful, so inspiring. I know that people are trying to boycott it, but it's ironic because they're boycotting it to try and defend our ancestry, but the movie does so much more for our ancestors. There's so much love put into this movie that it goes beyond whatever negative history that comes with it. The movie is done with a lot of love. Yes, please go see Woman King. I give it 10 out of 10 stars. That's Jalen with another review. I'll see you next time.